All right, folks, today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Today I'm going to put about 4 or 5 hours in on this hood. For the 61, I painted this thing, I don't even remember, it's probably been at least 6 months. It's been sitting in my two-car garage, so it's covered in dust. The camera probably won't pick it up, but the whole thing's covered in dust. So on this hood, actually it's a really good piece. We took it down to bare metal, and it had no filler on it, and it didn't require any filler. So there's no filler at all on this hood. Took it down to bare metal, got it in epoxy. I think we hit it with 1 round of 2K high build, and then sealed it in paint and clear, if I remember right. And I sprayed this thing hanging vertically, so it has some texture. I don't know if the camera's even going to pick it up, but it has a little bit of texture. No real trash and no real runs. There's just a couple little spots here and there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be wet sanding and buffing out this hood, because now that the motor's dialed in and the plug wires are cut and all that, I think we're about ready to get it on the car, because it's taking up a lot of space. So I'm going to be sanding this completely by hand. I got some Sunmite 1500 and some 3M 2000 and 3000. I don't even know if I'm going to need the 3000. I really like the Sunmite stuff. It's really good paper. I just got it on Amazon. Usually I buy it by the roll, but I just bought some sheets just to do the hood. I'm going to be trying a different process on this. Usually for the past few cars I've been using 3M products, but 3M works, but I noticed some things that I didn't like after the fact, after a few washes. It feels like the 3M stuff has a lot of fillers in it. So I did some research, and I got some Meguiar's M100 and some Manzurna polish. I stuck with the 3M pads. I don't think it really matters on the pad. So I got a wool pad, a foam pad, and a black pad for the polish. So I'm going to be using the wool pad on the M100. I'm going to be using a spray bottle, just straight water. No soap, no buckets, just straight water, hand block, and sandpaper. So it's pretty labor intensive. I'm thinking it's probably going to take me 5 or 6 hours to get this thing in 2000 grit, but we'll see. See what I can get done today. So bring you guys back once I get some progress. I do already have the Chevrolet letters across the front, and we got the hood hinges in place. So the underside of this thing is also painted. I don't know. It's painted gray also. I have some insulation pads. So just going to wipe this thing down, get all the dust off, and start cutting. I'll bring you guys back once we get some work. All right, so here we are. It's been about 2.5 hours. I got this thing in 1500. What I actually did first was I did 1500 on the DA dry. I really don't like using the DA because sometimes I struggle with pigtails, but although I think it's the clear that I was using. So I did it on the DA dry, knocked it down a little, and then I went over it with the block on 1500 wet. And next up, I'm just going to hit it with 2000. It shouldn't take very long, maybe another hour and a half, and then go straight to buff. This M100, it's going to be my first time using it. I've read that it's really good stuff, and it's designed to remove 1200 grit. So it should take care of 2000 pretty easy. I don't think there's a need to go to 3000. Didn't mess with the front. Don't think it needs it. So bring you guys back in about an hour and a half, 2 hours once I get it in 2000, and then we'll be ready to buff it. All right, so here we are. I got it in 2000 grit, did it by hand, went pretty quick. Really, that's about it. Ain't much else to talk about. Used 3M sandpaper on the block. Tape the edges because I don't want to burn them, but I haven't burned an edge in a long time, but I still tape it out of habit. And also tape it off into sections, so we do one section at a time. That way there's not any missed areas. So like I said, I'm about to try this M100 from Meguiar's. just been reading about it. It's not new, but I've never used it. I'm going to use it on a wool pad first, see what it does, and see what happens. Usually I use a 3M white compound. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but on a wool pad, and it looks great. But I've noticed after about 10 washes or so, you start seeing things that you didn't see when you buffed it. Mainly, I guess, because the stuff has fillers in it. So the M100 is supposed to be better, and that Manzurna is supposed to be really good stuff. We'll see. I've read a lot about it. So I'm going to be using the rotary DeWalt. It's what I use. I don't use the DA to buff. Never have. So I'm going to be using this DeWalt. DWP849X M100 on a wool pad. It's a hook it so it sticks to this. And I also have a foam pad, brand new foam pad, to go over it afterwards if needed. So we're curious to see how this stuff works. Bring you guys back in a little bit. Alright, so I just hit this thing with the Meguiar's M100 on a 3M wool pad. Followed up with a 3M foam pad, white foam pad on the same compound. So far all I've done is sprayed wax and grease remover and wiped it down with a microfiber. So this is basically in its rubbing compound stage. Might could use a little bit more right there. But at first glance, I mean, everything looks good. Did make a little bit of a mess, mainly because the wool pad was brand new, so it kind of flung a little bit everywhere. But so what I'm going to do now is hit it with that Manzurna. I ordered this off of Amazon, I believe. On a blank foam pad. What I did notice is with 3M, they changed their padding, and now it has a little sidewall. It didn't used to have that, so it fits perfect on the DeWalt now. So I'm just gonna hit that one little area that I just saw right now on camera, but outside of that, unfortunately the lighting ain't that great in here. I'm working with one fluorescent light and some daylight, but so far I do like it more than the 3M. I'm gonna hit it with the Manzurna, bring you guys back, give you a full breakdown. Alright, so we're back. You have to excuse the lawnmower, but I wrapped this up earlier. So this was just a two-step buff. So to recap, all the work done on this hood was we got it down to bare metal. We got it in epoxy primer. There was no filler used. We sprayed it with 2K high build. We blocked it with I think 400 wet, and then we might have reprimed it. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but I do know that we didn't use any filler. And then we sealed it with reduced epoxy, and then 3 coats of DBC Destroyer Gray, and then 3 coats of that JC 6700 Shopline Euro Clear. Then I cut it with 1500. I sprayed it vertical. I cut it with 1500, and then 2000, and then I buffed it with the Meguiar's M100, and then wax and grease removed it. And so here's the Meguiar stuff. It's really good stuff. First time using it. It's not, I don't think it's new. And then wax and grease removed it, and then hit it with this Manzurna I showed previously on a black foam pad. And this is the results. What I did notice with the Manzurna is it leaves a haze. Maybe I was putting too much, I don't know, but it leaves a haze, and then you have to wipe it off. But I'm sold. I'm done with 3M. We'll see how this stuff holds up after a couple car washes, but I definitely like it better already. I think the M100 on the wool pad on the rotary DeWalt cuts super fast on the 2000 grit, and then that polish works really good too. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I put the Chevrolet script on, and getting ready to throw this thing on the car here pretty soon. Unfortunately, the camera's not going to pick up. It looks the same as it did before I even buffed it or cut it, but it's just the nature of the camera file. I'm digging it. Hope you guys enjoyed this weekend's update, and stay tuned for more.